So listen carefully, here comes your challenge. I'm going to tell the beginning of the story. And about halfway through, I'm going to start doing this. You all join in. And after a little while, I'm going to do this. And after another little while, I'm going to do this. And when I do that, it will be the beginning of the end. And when that end has finished, I'm going to start doing this. And after a little while, I'm going to do this. And after another little while, I'm going to do this. And when I've done that, it will be the beginning of another end. And when that end is finished, I'm going to start doing this. There was once a little boy called Nenillo, who had a little sister called Nenella. And they weren't very rich. In fact, they were rather poor. But they were very happy because they had each other. And they lived with their father in a little cottage. And some days the father would go off to work. Some nights he'd go to the pub. And one day he came home with a brand new wife. The stepmother went over to the father and said,
"We have to get rid of the children. They are costing us too much money. If we don't get rid of the children, we are going to starve and die. Do you want to die? I don't want to die. We need to take the children to the middle of the forest and leave them there."
Why?
Well, the father didn't like the sound of that. He really loved his children. Yeah, he asked why. He didn't want to take them into the middle of the forest and leave them there. But the stepmother went on and on and on until at last the father gave up, on the condition the children could have some bread, so they'd at least have a chance to survive. The stepmother, when she found out what was going to happen to them, Nenella burst into tears. But Nenilla was cunning and bright through and through, and clever Nenillo knew just what to do. He told his sister not to worry, not to cry, and then again, the father really didn't want to do this to his children, but the stepmother persisted, and eventually the father relented, on the condition the children could at least have some bread, so they'd at least have a chance to survive. And the stepmother said that was okay. What neither of them realised was that in the room next door, Nenillo and Nenella had their ears pressed to the bedroom wall until an idea popped into her head. And she said, "I know what we can use instead. Why don't we use the
Bread.
That's right." So the children started to break off little bits of their bread and leave that in a trail behind them. And when they got to the middle of the forest, the father and the stepmother said, "We're just going to get wood for the fire. We'll be right back. We promise." Well, the children didn't mind. They just, "Shall we teach your teachers what it's like to be lost and alone and scared in the middle of a dark forest?" Yeah, okay. Well, tell you what then. You girls, if you could come forward just a little bit to make some space in the middle. And teachers, if you could come sit right there in the middle for me. Fantastic, thank you. That's it. Everybody please turn to be facing your teachers. There we go. And teachers, if you could please close your eyes. Remember what we said at the start, folks. If you want us to be really spooky, we have to start by being as quiet as we can. So what I'd like you to do, very, very quietly, very gently, just start to blow like gentle hands. And I'm going to ask you to be some birds flying in the sky. So very quietly, you're going to start going. Keep it very quiet. I'd like you to be some snakes flying through the air. Keep it quiet. Quiet. Now watch my hands, folks. When my hands are like this, they should be really quiet. As my hands gradually get wider, you're going to make your sounds louder and louder. Are you ready? Watch carefully. Watch carefully. Until everything goes quiet. Turn and face this way.
Nenella, go and switch the oven on and just get inside to see if it's hot enough.
Now, why do you think she asked Nenella to do that? Yeah, why do you think so?
Because then when she looks in, maybe the witch will come and push her in.
So you think she wanted to cook Nenella as well? You know, I think you're probably right. And Nenella thought so too. So Nenella went white and was shaking with dread. But then an idea popped into her head. And then what do you think Nenella did? That's right, pushed her in, slammed the door, turned the heat right up, and the old woman screamed and screamed until she was never heard of again. And then Nenella took one of the pins from her hair and used it to unlock the cage, releasing her brother Nenillo. And they were so happy to be with each other again, they gave each other a huge hug. And the father was so pleased to see his children again, he gave them both a huge hug. And Nenillo and Nenella and their father lived very happily for the rest of their lives. And Nenella went white and was shaking with dread. But then an idea popped into her head. She held her nose, she closed her eyes, and jumped into the lake. Who sat on his horse, gazing around at all the trees of his kingdom when he saw Nenillo. You there, little boy up in that tree, what are you doing up there? Come down here at once. Excuse me. This is what happens when you've been telling stories all day. Your voice starts to go. Especially when you're doing that prince voice. In fact, it'd probably be best for me if I got one of you to be the prince. Oh, there's quite a few volunteers here. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do then. We'll have an audition. If you reckon you could be the prince, I want to see you sitting like a prince. So that means sitting nice and straight and sensible. And so probably with your hands on your hips, looking like you own the place. Yep. And you'd have a very prince-like face, which looks a bit like this.
That's Queen Victoria.
They're probably related. Oh, that's a very good prince's face right there. Would you mind coming out here and being the prince? Could you come and sit on the horse right here? Fantastic. So Nenillo came and sat on the horse with the prince. And of course he was looking quite worried. As you can tell from looking at him, the prince was a really, really kind man. So he wanted to know why Nenillo was worried. So Nenillo told him about his sister who'd gone running off into the trees all by herself. So he wanted to cheer him up. What do you think you could do to cheer up this little boy? Football maybe? Yeah, give him something to play with. So the prince took Nenillo back to the palace and put him into the royal gardens with a ball to play with. But Nenillo didn't even touch it. He just kept on looking at his feet. He missed his sister too much. I think we probably need to ask your royal advisors to see if they've got any better ideas, My Highness. Can anyone else think of a good way to cheer up this little boy? What could we do to cheer him up? Yeah.
Bring him back to his cottage.
Bring him back to his cottage. Well, that's exactly what all of the advisors wanted to do, but of course Nenillo wasn't talking. So they had no way of knowing where his cottage was. And their kingdom was pretty huge. It could have been anywhere. Any other ideas what they could possibly do to cheer him up? Maybe get him talking? we tried that. It didn't quite work, did it? What else could we try?
They can, because the prince was he was really rich, so he can like make another kind of model of his sister's.
I see. So the prince got the finest toy makers in the land and paid them huge sums of gold in order to make the most lifelike doll they possibly could to take the place of Nenillo's sister. I didn't even look at it. He missed his real sister too much. And when the prince came to the edge of the water, he saw the biggest, juiciest, ugliest fish he'd ever seen. And I'd like all of you, please, to be that fish. Show me your ugly fish faces. That was really easy for some of you. Yeah, okay. Well, the prince really wanted to catch that fish because he knew that fish would be able to feed the whole palace for at least 2 days. That's how big it was. But here the prince had a problem. What's that prize going to be, Your Highness? Yeah, it is. Shall we? Okay, so a football ticket to go and see some of the biggest matches in history. Of course, they didn't have Cambridge or Manchester back in those days, so it probably would have been an even more exciting match like England versus Scotland. So, let's have a big round of applause for what a generous. And of course, Nenillo quite liked the sound of that football ticket fish. They were so happy to see each other, they gave each other a huge hug. And when the prince saw this, he was so amazed, he demanded to know the full story right away. Who can think of a really horrible, really clever, really unusual punishment that the stepmother could suggest to the prince? What could it be? Yeah?
To put her in all of those situations, and then after.
In all of what situations?
All of the situations that Nenella was in.
Oh, what? So put them in the middle of the forest and feed them to fish? Okay, hold on. Let's see if there are any other ideas out there. Yep. Chop off their heads. Okay, yeah, that's pretty fun. With what? With a sword. So it's nice and quick then. Yeah. Okay. Any other ideas? What else could happen? Yep.
Put them in the prison.
Put them in prison. Okay. How long for?
Whatever. 1 million years.
1 million years. That's a very long time. Is that what your teachers do to you if you don't get your homework?
Yeah.
Let's take one more idea. Yep. Okay, so not only put them in prison, but put them in prison with really badly smelling things so that they don't want to live anymore. Okay, that's really, really horrible. Okay, well, let me tell you what the stepmother said. This is what the stepmother said. Here's what I think you should do. First of all, you should take them to prison. And you should leave them in there with things that smell really, really badly so that they want to die. But don't let them know. Tie up their hands so they can't do anything. And after 1 million years, take them out to the middle of the forest and feed them to fish. And after they've been fed to those fish, drag those fish out, take out a big sword and chop off their heads. She knew that her brother was clever. She knew that on a cold, dark night like this, he would build a campfire to keep himself safe and warm. So, using her new wings, she flew high up over the forest and looked and searched until she saw a campfire. And when she saw it, she flew down towards it and looked at all the faces around that campfire. But Nenillo wasn't there. So again, she flew high up over the forest and looked and searched until she saw another campfire. And when she saw it, she flew down towards it. And in fact, Nenella never found her long-lost brother.